Hi, welcome to Inge's Knitting Lab Along and our project making this lacy cable tee. In this episode I will show you how to make the V-neck I-cord band here. And you may find this episode a bit longer than usual. It's because I've chosen to add in all techniques needed and my personal tips and tricks on how to make a nice finishing look to the V-neck. So you can move forward and backwards in the video depending on the section of interest. We will look at how to tailor the V to your liking, how to pick up stitches with different principles depending on where we are in the V, and we will look at how to make this center of the I-cord band being symmetrical and having a nice rounded look, and we will look at how to enforce this center stripe so that it can withstand strain once you start wearing your tee. As usual, let's have an overview and also this time look at the end result before we dig into doing the I-cord band. Here you see my point that things happen once you block and start wearing your tee. This on the needles right now is the same size upper body than this one that has been blocked and worn. So you see the neck widening up and deepening. So don't worry if you think it looks small on you when you wear the unblocked version. Things happen when you block and wear your tee, and this is why I have built it into the design. And the same accounts for both the plant fiber edition and the mohair edition. So more things are of importance here. The first one is that we do this I-cord band before we continue with the body, and the reason being that we change the sitting of the tee when we add the I-cord band, and we want this to be in place before we start tailoring the lower body. If you are not adding bust darts or waist shaping, it doesn't matter that much. The second thing is the gauge, because when I have designed this tee and what you see in the pattern is adding a sequin strand. However, if you don't want this extra feminine touch to it, of course you will have another gauge using only one strand of yarn or two strands if you're making the mohair edition. And then you should consider the needle size, because when I use 2 strands or 3 strands with the mohair edition, I go down a full needle size so that my gauge fits for the I-cord band. If you're using only 1 strand for the linen edition or the 2 strands in the mohair edition, maybe you should consider going down only half a needle size for the V-neck. That was the second thing. And the third thing is how you can actually influence the look of your V. So in short, if you like your V wider and deeper, then you pick up fewer stitches here. If you like it more tight and higher, you pick up more stitches. We are ready to get started. Let's collect the things we need. So a new bill is gained because I have still the one connected here to the body. I have my sequin strand, I have my needles, 2.5 US or 3mm needle, and I have a crochet hook to help me pick up the stitches. And the size is not that important, just that it's smaller than the needles you pick here. And let's get to it. Actually, more times I have forgotten to use the sequin strand when I pick up stitches, and you can actually not see it, and it is less tedious to pick up stitches without these sequins. So I could do without, but now that I have remembered, I will do it. And now for the picking up of stitches. It depends on your size and the edition, but for all sizes and editions it's valid that you pick up 3 stitches here in the seam. And the principle when skipping some of the stitches is that first you skip the purl stitches here, then you can skip the center stitch of the lacy cable stripes, and if you need to skip even more stitches, you can skip the center of the tree trunk stripe. So these are the principles. But for my size I need to pick up 33 stitches, which means that I skip all purl stitches but pick up 3 stitches in each stripe. And when I pick up stitches, I want them to be mirrored here, just going in the other knitting direction. So when I look in the knitting direction here at the V, I have to make sure that when I pick up a stitch, it looks like an A, because if I look for a V when I turn it 180 degrees, then I will pick up a stitch actually between the stitches here. So I will start picking up now, and I will use my crochet hook because it is much easier. 1, and where's the V? It is here, and as close to the edge as possible, like this. 2, and the third one is here, like this. So now I just do like this, and I can put them on the needles. And again, just like any other pickup of stitches, I try to do it as tight as I can. I think I can maybe do without the crochet hook now, so I will pick up 3, 3, 3 and skip the purls. 1, 2, 3, and this is the one going in diagonal here. That was the first stripe. Now I have the V's of the tree trunk stripe here. 1, 2, 3. This is how I do it. So let's meet when I am over here and I have to apply another principle of picking up stitches. I am here now at the left shoulder piece here, and I'm ready to pick up these stitches. I've consulted the pattern, which tells me to pick up in total 42 stitches, and I need to pick up 3 out of 4 rows here, besides the last 6 rows of the final fourth and final V-neck increase here, where I will pick up only 1 out of 2 rows, that is 3 stitches. And I do it differently here in order to prepare for a nice finishing look of the V-neck. If you have larger sizes, giving you 5 V-neck increase stripes, you have to pick up fewer stitches here, only 2. But follow the advice in the pattern. If you have seen episode 10a, how I use the plant fiber method to pick up stitches, here at the sleeve cap, it is exactly the same principle. So if you've seen it before, know what to do, then you can fast forward until we meet down here. Otherwise, I will show you in short how I do this method. As usual, I look for the place here between the 3rd and the 4th edge stitch, and instead of going down like this and pick up the strand as I do what I call a woolen method, I use what I call a plant fiber method, and instead I look for the bar between the stitches, this one, and then I crochet it or knit it when I pick up the stitch. In this way you will get a much tighter pickup of stitches, and you will avoid stretch or holes here. So this is what I do, and I need to pick up 3 out of 4. So the next trick in the plant fiber method here is not to skip a row, because then it may create a distance between the stitches, and you want it to look even. So now I picked up 2, so in the 3rd and the 4th stitch I just pick up both bars because I don't want to skip a row, and I crochet them together. And I remember to have both strands get along and on the needle, and I tighten it so it's very tight here. So I start again and make sure not to skip a bar. So I actually take down my crochet hook where it got up from the last stitch to pick up the next bar. So 1, I will make the tip here shorter, then it's easier. 1, 2, and 3 and 4 together. Again, if you are doing the mohair edition, there might be another principle of picking up stitches due to the different properties of the yarn. So now I have picked up 6, and I will continue using the same principle, and we will meet up here with the last 6 rows. I have now reached the point here where I started the 4th and final V-neck increase here, and I have counted 39 stitches here. So now it's time for me to change pickup principle to picking up 1 out of 2 rows, and I use exactly the same principle. So instead of picking up 1 and skipping 1, then I will just grab the 2 bars together, let me see, like this. So I need to do this 3 times. 1, 2, and 3. So here at the center front, we will pick up 5 stitches. We will pick up the 3 ones here for the center stripe and the purl in between. I need to look in the knitting direction, and the center of the purl stitch is here. So you see here. So I will pick up this one. 1, and then I need the 3 stitches here in the lacy cable stripe. 1, and the center here is hiding behind the passover stitch, and the 3rd one here. Yeah, I think I will use my crochet hook. It is easier here in these lacy cable stripes. 3, and then again I need the center of this purl stitch like this. So now going back on the right hand side here, I will use the same principle, however mirrored. So I will pair 2 bars here for 3 stitches, and then move on to 3 out of 4 stitches. And as I want it to be exactly mirrored over here, I start working the first 2 together, because I ended with doing 1, 2, 3 and 4 together. So the 2 stitches were knitted together here. So in order to get the same thing over here, I take 2 again, and then 2 bars alone. So yeah, let's meet when I'm actually casting on stitches for the Icord band here when they meet. I'm ready to do the actual Icord band now. I have picked up all stitches, I have counted, everything is fine. I have my working yarn here and the tail from starting the pickup of stitches, and I will just hold it over here under my hand here to get it tight when I start casting on a 4-stitch Icord band. And I use the knitting cast on technique. So in the first stitch I will knit the first one. I don't take out the tip, because then I just twist the stitch. This is number 1, and I'm ready to knit number 2. And very intentionally I make them very loose, because this makes it much easier for me when I join the 2 Icord ends here, that I can make seamless and no fill seam. You will see this in the next episode. So 1, 2, 3, this was the first being there already, so I've made 2. This is number 3, and I will make number 4. and then I just start knitting 1, 2, 3, and the 4th cast on stitch I will knit together with the one on the working needle here in the back loop, and I will just place them back on the left hand needle, and then I can continue making the I-cord like this. So yeah, 2 tips here. The first one being make it very loose, and the second one, keep track of your sequence strand if you use it. It has happened so many times for me that it gets lost and I have to rip back to get it together with the working yarn here, and that's total waste of time. Yeah, let's meet up again when I am ready to do the center V. I will just continue working the band here. I have reached the center of the V, and I'm now ready to place the stitch markers as advised in the pattern. I am to place the stitch markers around the center 7 stitches, so 3, 5, 7, so it's here and here. And now, in order for this V-neck center here to be nice, we work it in a bit of a different way, where we knit 3 together instead of only 2 together. So let me show you. The first one here, we make when we have only 1 left before the marker here. I have the last stitch on the I-cord, the first one before the marker and the second after the marker, and actually this one is in my way, so I will remove it. And again, I will use my crochet hook because knitting 3 together can be a bit tedious, so it's easier with a crochet hook. So just like this, and again I tighten as much as I can here, and again I place the stitches back and I work 3 together once more. I grab my crochet hook, 1, 2, and 3, like this. I find it easier when I take them off the needle when crocheting. So this was row 2, so I do 1 more or 2 more. So now I reached the stitch marker, and I can see from the pattern that I now only miss the last one with knitting 3 together, and this is row 5, so 1, 2, 3, and here's the last one from the I-cord band, and then 2 stitches after the marker. So I just remove the marker to make it easier for me. 1, 2, 3, and here we go, the last one. And then I start doing knitting 2 together again, just like on the other side. So let me make a couple of rounds or rows more, and let's see how the V-neck looks now. as you can see, as intended. You could place a mirror here and it looks the same on each side with these 3 center stitches here. So yeah, just as I intended. Let's also look at the result of one of the bigger sizes requiring 5 V-neck stripes, and here you see the same way of doing almost the same, I would say, way of doing the center here. However, we have a tree trunk stripe instead, giving another look here in the center. And I think also with the way we did this ending here, there will be no strain and holes here. So yeah, I'm quite happy with this result as well. Before we move on, let's just finalize the finishing detail with the V-neck while we are at it. And I would like to enforce this place here so that we don't see any more strain when we start wearing the tee. So let's have a look at the ones here beside this one. And you see the stitch coming out of this passover stitch here is not as long as this one, so it has already stretched a bit. So we can now enforce this by taking half a strand of the yarn and use a darning needle, and we will kind of enforce here. So let's look at the wrong side. So it's these stitches here that we need to do something about. I will use my mother's method here and just fasten the strand. So I make a loop and I put the tail inside the loop to fasten it like this, and I do it once more just to be double safe. So now it runs absolutely nowhere, and now I need to follow the flow of these stitches here. So I need to go down here and up here and down here. I catch this one underneath, and I don't tighten yet because I will tighten when I look at the other side. So I follow the stitch again, going inside this purl ridge here, up here, down here, and I try to place the strand on the back side. However, yeah, still following the stitch down here. So now we look at the other side, and before I have even tightened it, it helps, right? And the trick is now not to tighten too hard, because then these will bulk or pop up here. So it's kind of delicate that you just tighten it just enough to see the result here. So I think I have reached my target here of tightening, and then I will use the trick as if I was about to fasten the ends of a new yarn ball. So I travel my way over here to go in this one in one direction and then in the other direction, because a plant fiber yarn, I follow the stitch, so I go under here, because a plant fiber yarn is not as sticky as the woolen yarn. So when doing this in both directions, you are more secure that it will not slide apart. It will go absolutely nowhere, and you cannot see the joint here, just as I showed you in the episode when I changed to a new yarn ball. So let's look. Yeah, I think it's fine now, much better than when we started. So I can just cut the yarn and move on. And one thing less to do when I'm finishing my project and weaving in ends. Yeah, I have now finalized the Icord band here. Yeah, well, almost, because it has left me with one open end and one closed end here. So what's up next? Yeah, in the next episode I'll show you how to connect these two ends to make one, a seamless seam, and two, a no-fill seam, so that you cannot see where this Icord band starts and ends. I myself, when I was taught this Icord band technique, I could make a nice Icord band, but the connection here would not look nice. And we want to have an eye for the finishing detail, right? So I have been training a lot, and I would love to pass on to you how I have solved this puzzle. So we can have a peek here at this one where I have made the joint over here. Yeah. Until then, good luck with your Icord band, have fun with your knitting, and let's meet up in the next episode. Bye bye from Inge's Knitting Lab Along. Bye.